Hey guys, I've had to do a couple cuts of this video so far because my voice is going out. And I think it's because this weekend I sang karaoke. I know, if anyone took a video of that, please burn it, burn it. I can't sing at all, but I tried. Now my voice is kind of hoarse, so I got some water here to help me through this video. But also this weekend, I met a guy, really interesting. He used to work for a pharmaceutical company. Which one? A major one. Fight Club reference. And anyway, not only did he work for the pharmaceutical, he's got his degree in biomedicine or something, but he was in recruiting. And he said, Ramzpaul, you won't believe how it is now that in our recruiting, right before he left, they have an algorithm that if you're a white male, they exclude your application straight out. So if you're a white guy, I don't care what qualifications you had, you could have a cure for cancer, you could do all this stuff, and they're like, get the fuck out of here, we don't want you. It is literally, you can't get an interview as a white male. It's all people of color and women. And I would like to say I'm shocked about this, but I'm not really shocked because we've seen this progression from the left about they're amping up the hatred of whites. And it's almost like genocidal level now. And I'm not joking about that. When you deny a whole group of people from even being able to apply for a job, it's a serious situation. And what's interesting is this is an inversion of everything we're taught in the narrative. Because we're taught in the narrative that white people have privilege. We live on easy mode, especially if you have a white man. If you're a white man out there, oh, you just have to show up. No matter if everyone's more qualified, you just get a job because you have this mysterious white privilege. That's literally what they teach, but reality is an inversion of that. It's 100% opposite. And see, leftism is a denial of reality, and it's like the opposite world. Because in the real world, even when I was in the tech companies and I was a manager, we had diversity targets that basically what it meant is if you had two candidates and they're both equally qualified, you have to hire the minority. And you got paid bonuses for that. You didn't get a bonus for hiring a white guy. Now, sometimes you could still hire white guys because you need the work being done, but you were definitely encouraged to hire non-whites. So that's been that since the 80s or 90s. Again, every decade it got worse, more anti-white, but it was never the case, at least since I've been in the business world, where white men got the preference, ever. And maybe in the 50s or 40s it was that way, but again, this was a 90% white country, so why not? But now it's definitely not that way. But you hear all this about systemic racism. Well, we do have systemic racism in the institutions, but it's anti-white. It's straight out anti-white. And when I tweeted this, everyone said, "Oh, you're just lying, Ramzpaul." I'm not. You guys cannot believe me or not, but I talked to this guy. You can say this guy's lying, but I think I can read people, and he seemed really sincere. So I tweeted this, and take a look at these are just some of the replies. Most of these are Twitter replies, but I also got a private email. I'll cross out the guy's name just to let you see. But first of all, let's take a look at the Twitter replies. All right, here's the first reply. The guy says, my team has been hiring and we're seeing 80% female or non-Asian minority candidates in a competitive field that is 80% white men and Asian men. I have to assume it's HR screening out all the white guys before we even get to interview them. Yeah, and that's true. That's what's happening, according to the guy I talked to. Another one, my company's HR flat out said we could not hire a white person. Even women were excluded. It wasn't algorithmic, it's just flat. Hire a minority, the position is trainable. And then here's another one. As an experienced pharmacist, I got denied for a position at a hospital, but I got hired on as a floater. On my first day of, quote, training, I worked with a Middle Eastern girl fresh out of school that got the position. The first day was also hers, and I spent it guiding her on what to do. So again, this guy's very experienced. He went to this girl that didn't even know what to do, and when she's supposed to train him, she didn't know what to do. He was having to train her. Again, another one. Story from a big tech company. Only one guy accepted in every 5 application talks, and managers strongly encouraged to hire women or blacks. Another one. I work for a government entity, and I can confirm that the applicants not belonging to a specific race and gender are giving bonus points towards being chosen for interviews and hiring that are equivalent of having a master's degree. Not filling out racial information is de facto penalized. And then I got this personal email, and I scratched out his name, but you can see he's a technical lead and senior recruitment consultant. And he said, I saw a tweet from you regarding the bias within hiring. I've been working with a huge clothing multinational recently, and people on video calls said outright, we do not want to hire any white men unless they are particularly outstanding. One of the many comments I've been hearing regarding hiring of late. Yeah, I know this is anecdotal evidence, but based on all the information I've seen and my personal history experience with this, and you guys that work in major corporations, diversity goals. And when they say diversity, they just mean fewer whites, especially fewer white men. And they become pretty explicit about it now. So this shouldn't shock anyone. But when anyone does this bullshit about white privilege, I ran into someone this weekend, I just say, no, you're lying. That's a blood libel. It's opposite. This is a horrible situation. It's no longer. The ideal used to be you don't look at race, you don't look at sex, you hire the best person qualified. That used to be the ideal. That's no longer the ideal at all. Now, if you're white and especially male, you're considered evil and you're at the back of the line. And the leftists, if you look at them, they're not going to, either they deny it. A lot of times they deny this is happening, but I think most people realize this is real at this point. But they say, well, good, you need to be punished for being white and male because all of the evil you've done throughout history. That's really it. It's not social justice, it's social vengeance. They're very vengeful, and it's going to continue to get worse. So I don't like to leave videos on just black pills like, oh, this is horrible, what are we going to do? We have to acknowledge the problem, this is real, and not try to put our head in the sand and pretend this doesn't occur. This is now the norm. So the question is, how do we deal with this? And there's a few things I think we can do. One of the things that you can do, and I just had lunch with a guy today, and he did this. If you're white male and you have an application, do not put white. Put Hispanic or black or whatever. I would put Hispanic because that's hard for them to really determine. You could say, yeah, what do you mean? Hispanics, a lot of Hispanics look white. That's my ancestry. From a recruiting point of view, it's really difficult for them to deny that you are Hispanic. So whatever you do, don't put white. Don't do that at all. Throw sand in the gears of the system. Now, if you're like, no, I can't do that, I'm going to be proud of my ethnicity, I'll put white. Well, another option you can do, because you're not going to get work in the corporate environment, is to start your own small business. And there's a lot of good things when you start your own business. There's a lot of negatives. There's a lot of bad taxes. You're on your own. And even if you have a small business, unfortunately, if you're trying to sell your services to these big corporations, because you're a white man, they're going to give preference to contractors that are minority owned or female owned. The companies I worked in, they did this too. Sometimes they play games by you put someone like a woman that officially owns the business, but you really run it. There's things you can do. So it depends on the type of business. But if it's a business that you have to support other businesses, it could be very difficult if you're a white male. It's a little bit easier if you're in a business, let's say, I've known people that own stores, and that's a little bit easier because you don't have to kiss ass with anyone else. You just go to the customer. So that's one option you can do, is start your own business. And the third thing that we can do is we need to start networking. And this is something I've been really big on, and I'm really pushing this. In fact, in Northwest Arkansas, we've met so many people. I get them all confused now. And this is good. We get together, we play games, and it's a way for people like us that can come together and we can help network and help each other. It's not a formal organization, and we do not do anything illegal. In fact, if anyone talks about something illegal, they will no longer be invited. This is literally just get together, we can talk freely, you can relax around fellow people, have some fellowship, but also it provides a network. And a lot of ethnic groups, this is how they've really prospered, is through their network connections. For example, Hollywood is mostly Jewish. How did that happen? It wasn't like a conspiracy theory. There's a lot of Jews got in there, and then they networked through the synagogue or through their associations. There was a part available, they tended to hire another Jew versus a white. And this is the way they did it and how they got control. And other ethnic groups have done the same. And people that are white, we need to start doing similar things where we start to network and we start to help each other. And again, I'm not talking about starting formal groups and definitely nothing illegal, but we can't just be isolated, because if you're isolated, you're going to be excluded. And what's interesting about this is even if you're a good SJW white male, let's say if you're a white male and you have the BLM stuff, you have the gay flag on, you get on your knees and you cry about your privilege, that doesn't mean shit to the algorithm. You're still going to be excluded from being hired by these corporations, because they look at it, you have original sin because of your race, and no matter how much you beg for mercy or grovel, they're not going to forgive you for your race. That's just reality. And in a sense, that's good, because when people have nothing to lose, they tend to get a little bit more braver. And that's the situation now, is why not do these things? Like, why not, when you fill out an application, say that you're black or you're Hispanic? I mean, the worst that can happen is you won't get the job, but you weren't going to get the job anyway if you put white male. So do that, or start your own business, or network. You get with people. Don't get with crazy people. Get with good people. And it helps your soul. It could help you with your business connections. And not only for you getting a job, but this is a way for you to support fellow people that have businesses. I was about to say fellow whites. I don't mean fellow whites, but you know what I mean. People that are in our community that we can help. And again, I'm not saying this strictly racial, have groups that are just all white. I'm not saying that at all. But we need groups of good people that aren't obsessed about race like these corporations are. These corporations are now all obsessed about race. And they see race, by the way. Notice that they see race. They don't have this, like, I know, like people like Sargon on that. Oh, I don't even know what white is. It doesn't make sense. Oh, it's just a human race. Yeah, they can say that all day long, but these corporations know what white is. So that was always a bullshit argument. They said, I don't know what white is. Obviously they do, because they have algorithms looking for it. So we need to accept race is real. And right now, whites are being systematically discriminated against. Yeah, we can cry about it, or we can do something positive about it. Probably the best thing you can do positive is to meet people like yourself, form groups, get together, friendships, like other ethnic groups have done. And that's the best way forward. And again, I'm going to be 58 in a couple of weeks. So I'm not talking about myself. I'm not hireable anyway because of my views, but it's getting so if you're white, especially a white man, I don't care if you're a shit lib, you are unhireable at this point by these major corporations. So you have nothing to lose. May as well stand on your feet instead of live on your knees. Talk to you guys later.